Hello and welcome to my presentation on the Protestant Reformation. In the beginning of the 16th century, England was Catholic. Catholicism was the only religion that was practiced in England, and the Pope led the church from Rome, and all the church services were conducted in Latin. Many people, primarily the poor, could not read, write, or speak Latin, but everyone went to church and they all believed what they heard from their priests. Like, for example, Lucrezia in Machiavelli's Mandragola. Despite the Catholic Church being the only religion, many people felt that the church was corrupt and misled people. Once again, see Machiavelli's Mandragola for reference. Those who opposed the Catholic Church wanted a new form of Christianity that everyone could understand. For example, a polyglot Christianity, or Christianity in different languages. One of the main reasons why people opposed Catholicism was because no one could understand it, since only people who were educated could speak Latin. The people who opposed the Catholic Church did so because they disliked how centralized their religion was and how it was controlled by one person, the Pope, and in one place, Rome. Also, one of the biggest concerns about the Catholic Church was the indulgences priests would sell people for their salvation. So, for example, an indulgence was something that a person who had committed a really terrible sin would buy from a priest. And through that, they would gain their own salvation. So it was like you bought a place in heaven. And what was wrong with that is that poor people couldn't buy a place in heaven if they had committed a terrible sin. There was no other way for terrible sins to be erased. In 1517, thanks to the Gutenberg printing press, Martin Luther, on your left, printed and began spreading his 95 Theses. The 95 Theses were complaints against the Catholic Church for its idolatry, the way that priests sold indulgences, and the way that the church conducted its church services only in Latin and not in a language that the people actually attending could understand. The Reformation begins in Germany and spreads to the north and west of Europe. And one kind of Protestantism that spread throughout Europe was Calvinism. John Calvin, on the right, wrote about Protestant beliefs, including predestination, which claims that God predetermines who will be saved and who will be damned. Calvinism was practiced in France and Switzerland. So the main difference between Protestantism and Catholicism was that one focused primarily on the Bible, while the other one, according to Protestants, was more so focused on idolatry and like religious processions and whatnot. The Protestant Reformation reached England when King Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wife Catherine of Aragon, but couldn't because they were both Catholic and England was Catholic, and under Pope Clement VII, Henry couldn't get divorced because there was no specific religious reason for why the divorce needed to happen, and that was the only way that the Pope would allow a divorce. And also, divorce at this time was very rare in the Catholic Church. In 1529, the Reformation Parliament opened, and King Henry attacked the Catholic Church for being loyal to the Pope and not to the King. The truth was, however, that the Pope didn't want to give Henry a divorce, and so that's why he began attacking it. In the end, Henry appointed his own church leaders in England who allowed him to have his divorce, and thus began the many years of back and forth between the Church of England, which was a Protestant church, and the Catholic Church in England. One such switch was that which occurred during the English Civil Wars. King Charles I was Roman Catholic, and thus England was Catholic. This was after King Henry, so it went from Catholic to Protestant to Catholic again. After the English Civil Wars, however, and King Charles I's execution, England was ruled by Oliver Cromwell on the left, and its religion became Puritan, which is a kind of radical Protestantism, which also only focuses on the Bible text. Under Cromwell, England had no Christmas because he considered the festivities of Christmas to be sinful. However, after King Charles II, on the right, became king, Christmas was restored thanks to Charles' determination for religious tolerance. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something from this presentation.